The shocking revelations from Gen V Season 2 have completely redefined how we view both the boys' universe and its most dangerous Soops. Ever since Season 1 exposed the horrifying experiments in the woods, fans knew something even darker was lurking beneath Godolkin University. But nothing could have prepared us for Project Odessa, the twisted experiment that not only connects Marie Moreau and Homelander, but also reveals a decades-long secret buried deep within Vought's history. And now that Stan Edgar has returned to shed light on this chilling truth, the entire foundation of the boys' universe might never be the same again. So what exactly is Project Odessa? Why did Thomas Godolkin create it? And how does it tie Marie directly to Homelander? Let's break down everything, from the gruesome origins of the experiment to Cipher's obsession with it and the inevitable face-off this revelation is setting up between Marie and Homelander himself. Let's start with where it all began. The creation of Project Odessa. Back in the 1960s, long before Vought became the global corporate powerhouse we know today, Thomas Godolkin had a vision. He wasn't satisfied with just making ordinary Soops through Compound V. No, Godolkin wanted to create something greater, beings that could surpass every power level known to man. As Stan Edgar later described it, these were meant to be god-tier superheroes. But here's where it gets disturbing. Project Odessa wasn't about creating heroes. It was about control. Godolkin wanted to engineer Soops, who weren't just powerful, but programmable. He believed that by experimenting on embryos and manipulating Compound V during the earliest stages of life, he could build a new generation of Soops, ones who would obey without question. The only problem? The process was deadly. Marie later revealed that dozens of children were killed as a result of these experiments.
Dozens of dead children.
These weren't just scientific failures. They were human tragedies buried under layers of corporate lies. The goal was simple but horrifying. Inject embryos with Compound V at the blastocyst stage, the very beginning of life, and watch what happens. For most subjects, it meant death. But for a rare few, it meant evolution. And this is where we discover something that changes everything. Only 2 people survived: Project Odessa, Homelander, and Marie Moreau. Think about that for a moment. The most feared Soop in the entire world, and the girl who's quickly becoming one of Vaught's greatest threats, were both born from the same experiment. That's not a coincidence. That's destiny. When Stan Edgar reappears in Gen V Season 2, Episode 6, fans were hit with one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in the series so far. Stan, the former Vought CEO and arguably one of the smartest minds in the boys' universe, steps back into the story at exactly the right moment. Just as Marie and her group are being hunted by Cipher and Vicar, Stan saves them, taking them to an underground bunker that's so over the top he even brags that it's nicer than Mark Zuckerberg's. And as he cooks for the group, because of course Stan Edgar would serve Frittatas during an apocalypse, he begins to reveal why he's so interested in Marie. For the first time, he lays out the true history of Project Odessa, explaining how Thomas Godolkin's work in the 1960s was designed to create unstoppable Soops. But it wasn't just about creating power, it was about ownership. Godolkin wanted Soops that could serve his vision, not humanity's, not Vaught's, but his own. And that's when things went catastrophically wrong. After years of experimentation and countless dead test subjects, Godolkin himself suffered a horrific accident. He was burned alive in a laboratory explosion that supposedly killed him, though fans now have good reason to believe that he might still be alive. Cipher later took over Project Odessa after Godolkin's death, reshaping it to fit his own terrifying goals. Cipher's version of Odessa wasn't about creating obedient heroes. It was about domination. While Godolkin believed in control, Cipher believes in supremacy. He sees Soops as the next evolutionary step, superior beings destined to rule, not serve. That's why he's so obsessed with Marie. Marie's story is tragic on every level. She grew up believing that her powers came from a normal Compound V injection, that her parents had willingly dosed her as an infant. But the truth is so much darker. Her parents were struggling to have children and turned to Dr. Gold for help. What they didn't know was that Dr. Gold wasn't just a fertility doctor. He was Cipher, operating under a new identity. Instead of helping them conceive naturally, he used them as test subjects in the continuation of Project Odessa. Marie was never supposed to survive. In fact, she was labeled a failure. That's why Cipher ignored her existence for so long, until she accidentally killed her parents and revealed just how powerful she really was. That event changed everything. Cipher realized that Marie wasn't a failure. She was the perfect result, a living weapon born from his secret project. And once he understood that, she became the centerpiece of his plan to rebuild the Odessa legacy. Now, let's talk about how Marie's powers are evolving and why they might make her one of the most powerful Soops alive. In Gen V, Season 2, Episode 5, Marie showcased an ability that completely changed the game. She wasn't just manipulating blood anymore. She healed her sister from the brink of death. That moment wasn't just emotional, it was historic. Healing powers of that magnitude have rarely been seen in the boys' universe, and it suggests something critical. Marie's control over organic material might have evolved beyond blood. What we're seeing is the full potential of Project Odessa awakening inside her. She's no longer the frightened girl we met in Season 1. She's something new, something that may rival even Homelander. And that brings us to the inevitable question. Is Gen V setting up a final showdown between Marie and Homelander? It absolutely is. The writing has been on the wall since Season 1's finale. Homelander and Marie technically faced off before, but it wasn't even a fair fight. Homelander used his heat vision and shut her down instantly. But even then, she survived. Something that most characters in the boys' universe can't claim. Fast forward to now, and Marie is stronger, smarter, and far more dangerous. She's been trained, tested, and even enhanced. Cipher's manipulation and the trauma of her time in Elmira have pushed her to new limits. And now that she knows she's part of the same program that created Homelander, she's uniquely equipped to understand and counter his powers. Stan Edgar himself hints that Marie could be the key to Vaught's future or its destruction. He openly tells her that he plans to retake Vought, and he wants her by his side when he does. It's a chilling proposal, but also a pragmatic one. Stan knows that to dethrone Homelander, he needs someone equally powerful. And who better than the only other survivor of Project Odessa? But here's the kicker. Marie doesn't want power. She wants peace. And that's what makes her dangerous. Not just to Homelander, but to everyone playing this game of gods and monsters. Homelander believes in domination. Cipher believes in supremacy. Stan believes in control. But Marie, she believes in freedom. And that ideological difference sets up what could be the ultimate confrontation in The Boys, Season 5, Marie versus Homelander. Two beings cut from the same experiment, destined to clash not just for power, but for the future of their kind. Now, let's circle back to Thomas Godolkin, the man who started it all. Stan claims that Cipher rebuilt Godolkin's research after the supposed fire that killed him. But the mystery deepens when fans theorize that the man Cipher keeps locked away in his mansion might actually be Thomas Godolkin himself. If that's true, it means the original mastermind behind Project Odessa has been alive this entire time, possibly hidden away, continuing his twisted experiments in secret. That revelation could completely blow open both Gen V and the boys. Imagine if Godolkin returns in Season 3, revealing that Cipher was merely carrying out his original vision all along, a world ruled by god-tier Soops. It also explains Cipher's obsession with the experiment. If he saved Godolkin and his research, it means he's been working toward perfecting Project Odessa for decades. And with Marie and Homelander as proof that it can work, the stakes have never been higher. Project Odessa isn't just a subplot, it's the backbone of Gen V's story and possibly the foundation for the boys' endgame. It connects the rise of the Soops, the fall of Vought, and the creation of the two most powerful beings in this universe. But perhaps the most chilling part of all this is what it says about Vought itself. Every single generation of Soops, from Homelander to the 7 to Godolkin students, are products of manipulation and control. Project Odessa is just the purest, most horrifying form of it. It stripped away humanity, ethics, and morality, leaving behind only one goal: perfection. And now, that perfection has a face. Marie Moreau. The question is, will she embrace what she is and use it to destroy Vought from within? Or will she become exactly what they wanted her to be, a weapon? Fans can't stop speculating about how this will play out in The Boys Season 5. We know Homelander's reign is cracking, His reputation, once godlike, is now surrounded by chaos and dissent. Meanwhile, Marie's influence is rising. She's not just another Soup. She's a symbol of what comes next. And if Stan Edgar has his way, Marie could become the new face of Vought. But if she follows her own path, she might just be the one who ends Vought and Homelander forever. Imagine the final confrontation. Homelander, the self-proclaimed god, standing against Marie, the embodiment of everything he was meant to be, but never was, the weapon that could finally bleed him. The irony is poetic, both born from the same project but driven by completely different hearts. Homelander kills for power, Marie fights for redemption. And that difference could be the very thing that ends him. As genv continues to peel back the layers of Vaught's darkest secrets, Project Odessa has become the thread connecting everything, from Starlight's warnings to Stan Edgar's return, from Cipher's obsession to Marie's evolution. What began as a hidden experiment in the 1960s has now exploded into a battle for the soul of the Soup world. We're witnessing the creation of a new kind of hero, one who didn't ask to be made, but who might be destined to save everyone else who was. And that's what makes genv Season 2 so powerful. It's not just a spin-off, it's the bridge between Vaught's creation and its downfall. So as the season heads toward its explosive finale, one question hangs over everything. What happens when the last surviving children of Project Odessa finally meet again? If the answer is anything like what we've seen so far, the boys' universe is about to enter its most dangerous and most emotional chapter yet.